Hi everyone, I wanted to make this video today to go over the discussions that were had in the approximate 9 hours of space calls that I hosted and Mr. Rick hosted last night. And I wanted to specifically make this video to address the management and board of Vinco and Zash. As I'm sure they're aware, there is a great lack of communication and mistrust among our wonderful BBIG community. And I think that you need to be aware of what's going on. And I want to bring this to your attention, as well as give Erik some information regarding the 9 hours of calls of questions that shareholders are looking to have answered. Now, Erik, we understand that you are on the Zash side. And as it stands right now, Zash has not merged with BBIG. Therefore, as shareholders, we would like some of these questions answered by management in Vinco, as we currently are shareholders of Vinco and Zash hasn't merged. So Zash right now is a private company. So as great as it is that people from Zash are speaking out, we also need to hear from Vinco, and it's been far too long, and this is not acceptable to shareholders. Let's get into the discussion, because I think you'll understand why the morale is down in the community if you don't already. And I really hope that this video will be shared, amongst Ted, Lisa, all of the board members, and of course you, Erik, which I'm sure you'll be watching based on the discussion we had in my space call. Okay, so trust in the morale in the community is at an all-time low. If Vinco wants to turn this around and regain retail's trust, there's a lot of work to be done. Communication is key. As much as we appreciate Zash making statements, until the merger is complete, Zash is in Vinco and we are investors in Vinco, not Zash. We need to hear from Vinco. We need consistent lines of communication and Vinco to follow through with the timeframes they give us. Right now, the only thing Vinco is consistent at is delaying everything, from the Zash merger to earnings to the Tide spinoff. Vinco needs to do better. The specific questions related to this topic that came from retail investors in those 9 hours of space calls are you aware of the loss of trust amongst retail investors in BBIG management? Are you aware of retail sentiment? Are you aware retail feels Vinco has been inconsistent and not kept any of its promises that it's made to us? Why is it that every catalyst gets delayed? What can BBIG do to make the morale better? What could BBIG have done differently? It's one thing to make mistakes, but if you want to be sure you don't repeat them, it's important you take a step back, evaluate them, learn from them, and grow from the lessons you've learned. The two most important issues that were brought up amongst retail investors in these calls were the merger with between Zash and Vinco, and the potential conflict of interest that exists with market makers, the market maker Susquehanna, and potential employees or board members that are not in the best interest of the company. I'm going to start with the merger between Zash and BBIG. Vinco. We've been promised for over a year now that a merger was going to take place, which it has yet to. When is the actual merger going to happen? How will this merger improve BBIG? How will it help our share price to finally get evaluated at the levels it deserves? Because we all feel that it's very undervalued. Where is the roadmap that shareholders were promised weeks ago? Specifically, questions to Zash include, is Zash needing to do or fulfill any obligations in order to complete the merger? Does Zash on its own have an evaluation that has been complete and they can release to the public regardless of the merger or without any regard to BBIG. Does Zash have any liquidity to run itself currently, or is it dependent on any outside merger to fund it? I feel that it's very important these questions specifically get addressed amongst retail investors, and I hope that, Erik, you can bring light to those in our space call plan for early next week. Okay, Vinco is also asking for 500 million shares, which will triple our float. Why do you want these shares? Retail's afraid that the dilution will only help the hedge funds and market makers that have been shorting and allegedly naked shorting the stock to cover their short positions in the dark pool, essentially preventing a run to new all-time highs from ever happening. We are at all-time lows. Why ask now for a dilution? This leads me to the next topic that ties, like I said, for most retail investors as most important. And that would be the conflict of interest that exists with the market maker Susquehanna and potential employees and board members that are not acting in the best interest of the company and could possibly be there to assist Susquehanna and Hudson Bay achieving what is in their best interest, not Vinco's. Why is it that despite Susquehanna's conflict of interest being their investment in Tik Tok, they are still the primary market makers for BBIG? Zash put out a statement saying they hired legal counsel to look into this. Yet, the shares continue to decline. Why aren't you seeking Susquehanna be removed as the primary market maker immediately? Why haven't we been updated on the findings of the legal counsel and what the plan is going forward? The events that took place over the past 2 weeks regarding the 8K filings, changing who is CEO, co-CEO, on the board, off the board, terminated, etc., have been unprofessional, confusing, and unacceptable. BBIG is a public company, and these circus-like events, as Ted called them, created fear and distrust in this community at a time when morale was already at all-time lows. The video that Ted put out, with all due respect, was confusing and unprofessional. The body language, shifting, repeated blinking, along with the horrible editing, created even more distrust in the community. It was not good. Shareholders are more confused than ever. Who is John Colucci? If there was already distrust in his position as director, how did he become co-CEO? How did he get elected to the board? He's only been employed by Vinco for 6 weeks. How does somebody enter a company and in 6 weeks advance from a director to a co-CEO to being on the board? Shareholders never voted him in. It's my understanding that shareholders need to vote to elect the board members. Why did this not happen? In Ted's video, he claims there was a shareholder meeting. This is either a lie or Ted was misspoken. In either case, it should not have been put on the BBIG Investor Relations website without that being corrected first. Why are changes being made to the board without a shareholder vote? Regarding the circus of events and PR on Vinco's website, that was removed as well as the tweet from Zash that was removed. Can someone please explain to us what is going on? Shareholders have a right to know. We are invested in this company, and these actions are unacceptable. Does John Colucci still work for Vinco? Is he still the co-CEO? Is he still on the board? If there was an attempt at a hostile takeover, then the company needs to look at the board. There are 5 members: Roderick Vandebilt, Lisa King, Michael Distasio, Elliot Goldstein, and John Colucci. In order to make these changes, there would need to be a vote of 3 out of 5. Either the board is split and there is 1 bad egg, or there are 3 bad eggs. Are you aware of who the bad eggs are? They are not acting in the best interest of BBIG, and this is very concerning to its shareholders. What is being done to remove him, her, or them? Could other people working within the company be signing off on things such as bad funding deals with Hudson Bay? The name Retail sees signing what appears to be predatory financing agreements are the CFO, Philip Jones. Does he have the credentials in investment banking to take BBIG to the next level? Is Vinco aware that deep in these contracts there is predatory lending occurring, where as soon as they exercise warrants they are immediately issued, more essentially giving Hudson Bay more and more control of Vinco over time? So in other words, when Hudson is able to exercise their warrants, they are immediately issued additional warrants. So this is a pattern that can get repeated over and over again. Are you aware that this is happening? This information and questions came from an investor in BBIG with over 25 years of experience on Wall Street in investment banking. He's bullish on BBIG, but concerned that the CFO may not be acting in the best interest of the company. Has anybody else thought about this? Were you even aware of the predatory lending that's occurring? Please look into it and please explain to shareholders why this is occurring. Now, on to the positive. The BBIG community is very excited about the addition of Erik Finman, the new CEO of Zash. We're happy you brought in young blood that can appeal to the 15 to 25-year-olds that will bring Lomo to the next level of success. Erik, I've done some research to find out who you are and what you bring to the table. As a proud mother of a soon-to-be 19-year-old honor student at Villanova University's nursing school, I must say, kudos to your parents. They did an amazing job and must be proud of you. Clearly, Erik, you are just exceptional for your age, and investors in our discussion even compared you to being the next Elon Musk. So I just want to say that we are very excited to have you on board, and I will be making a separate video to introduce you to the community. But in this video, I'd like to discuss how some of your accomplishments may go hand in hand with the goals of Zash and Vinco, and find out if this is just something that we're clearly thinking outside the box on, or whether any of this is reality. So the BBIG community hopes that you can go into further details regarding some of these thoughts we had and explain how they all tie into the big picture of BBIG. As much as you want to do more than just be known as the childhood Bitcoin millionaire, clearly your experience with Bitcoin is one of the assets that Zash saw in you and reason why they brought you on board. With your experience in crypto and metal pay, what assets will you bring to Zash? BBIG is more on the crypto side of things, especially the spin-off company Tide. Will you be using your skills to do things with... Will you be using your skills to do things with all three companies? How will you use your experience to build up Zash and benefit the shareholders of BBIG? We have seen Vincent Buddha spending a lot of time working on projects in Africa. You have also done work in Africa and even helped a school in Ghana build an antenna which they used to acquire crypto you dropped in a satellite to them, which they used to build tables and benches for the students and to repair their roof. That was quite admirable, I must say. Will you use this experience with satellite to tie into the work Lomo is doing with Viacom Africa to help build better internet connectivity for the African communities? If that is not part of the plan, could it be a potential opportunity? As you may know, Elon Musk is helping the shipping and cruise ship industry by launching satellites into space to give better internet service to the industries. I noticed that you started an educational platform to help people learn things that interest them in a non-classroom setting, which you sold to buy more Bitcoin and then bought the company back. Is Lomo planning to bring their app to Africa, not just for the entertainment aspect of it, but also to help educate the community? If so, will your education app and satellite experience be used to make this happen? Can you give us any details? During the upcoming space call, we would love to hear more about you and what your goals for Zash are. We also would appreciate more information regarding the merger of Zash and BBIG, Vinco. We understand from last night's conversations that you are making it one of your personal goals to make this merger happen. Is it possible that you can give us a timeline on that? Whatever circus is going on the inside of Zash and Vinco needs to get fixed as soon as possible. If this doesn't happen, will Zash cancel the merger plans with BBIG, Vinco, and attempt to go public on their own? That seems to be a big concern with the community, because a lot of our hype and excitement about BBIG is, Lomotif, which comes from Zash primarily. I mean, I do understand that, there is a small stake that BBIG has in Lomotif, but it's primarily Zash. Also, can you tell us when the additional 20% of Lomotif is being acquired, and who's funding that? Is that being funded by Vinco, or is that being funded by Zash? When can we expect to see this deal closed? Again, we think that AdRiser and Lomo are amazing platforms, amazing opportunities. We see that this can potentially be the next TikTok. There's a lot of talk, as I'm sure you're aware, about TikTok being banned in the US and actually nationwide. There was a big press release that came out yesterday from the Parliament discussing the concerns that it has, especially amongst children, and the information and what China is using with it. Clearly, this has become a nationwide concern as well as a global concern. However, with the current administration trying to ban everything that Trump has done, including, opening up the border, including getting rid of the TikTok deal, and we're not going to continue to get into politics, but I could go on and on. So it is nice to see that you're a Republican, Erik, and hopefully, that should shed some good light on this community as far as wanting things to be American made. That was something I noticed you said in the calls, was that Lomo is an American product, which I think is huge here. And you also mentioned that you think that TikTok will get banned in the US. Is that something that you could expand upon your thoughts? Do you think that this is possible to happen under the current administration that seems to be fighting so hard against everything Trump brought to light? Or is this something that you think is going to take at least another 2 years? Any information you have regarding this would be very helpful to the community. There was also something that I read today, right before making this video. This is actually my second attempt at it. I had the whole thing recorded, and sadly, I had something on in the background while I was recording that I wasn't aware of. That must have been an app or something, or YouTube video or something that was talking over it. So I had to redo this entire thing. However, it did give me an opportunity to see a few more questions that I'd like to bring to the table. A couple of these may be repeated, but again, this would be a great time to grab a pen and paper, because I actually really like this write-up that I saw on Reddit that someone tagged me in it. And I think some of these questions deserve answers. And some of them I've already stated, like I said, but others I think will be a great opportunity to bring to light. First of all, this also goes back to the confusion in the community regarding, who is actually responsible for those 8K filings being changed. Were they illegally forged? If so, then whoever's responsible for this needs to be fired immediately. And shareholders have a right to know more information on what happened. And I certainly hope that we're going to get clarity, because right now we're kind of confused. There's 5 board members and we don't really know who should be trusted. Is it Ted and Lisa, Or are Ted and Lisa behind this quote unquote hostile takeover? We just want truth, and we deserve truth. So I hope that will come along on the shareholders call regarding what actually went down, because the video that Ted made left us very confused. But we've been waiting for over a year for a Lomotif evaluation. Why has it not been made public? Is this being done intentionally to keep the share price down and to be kept away from the public? There's only two reasons that Wall Street Fools believes could cause this. And that's that Lomo's not worth as much as Ted hyped it up to be worth, or they don't want to release this information to intentionally suppress BBIG stock, so that on paper, the merger will be to the favor of insiders. Ted's not taking a salary and Lisa moved to Zash president just seems like lining them up for a big payday while they are screwing over BBIG shareholders in the process. Can you confirm that this is not the case? Susquehanna, the designated primary market maker for Vincos, has a clear conflict of interest, being a large investor in ByteDance, which owns Tik Tok, the main competitor of Lomo. We need to know what the company is actually doing about that. Last we were informed, the matter was being looked at by legal. The company should be screaming at anyone who will listen about the conflict of interest and manipulation. If it were me running this company, I'd get on CNBC and any news channels I could and be screaming for an SEC, FCC, DOJ congressional investigation. But remaining silent just gives shareholders more reason to be skeptical. I mentioned this earlier because this is a major problem among shareholders, because this stock price is being manipulated by Susquehanna, and we need to know that you know what's going on. I know that True Demon is planning to do a presentation for you to explain everything that's going on, so I'm going to leave that in his hands and just let you know that shareholders are extremely concerned. I'm very concerned about this. There is also credibility issues with the company that need to be addressed immediately. Like I stated previously, the questions he's asking are, where is the roadmap promised? What is the merger status? Why hasn't the company addressed the hostile takeover fiasco the past week and instead stood by and watched the stock tank? Why is Ted still making decisions and signing 8Ks? Is Ted really the co-CEO? We're confused. Who is the rotten egg? Why has Lomotif's valuation been kept from the public for so long? Guys, I don't know how to say it any clearer than what I've said in this video, but this is absolutely unacceptable to shareholders. This is embarrassing. We need answers, and we really need management to start giving us something. We feel left out of the loophole. We feel like there's a circus running around inside and nobody really knows what's going on. And in the meantime, the hedge funds and market makers are taking advantage of this situation. And to be quite honest, who can blame them? This is not being run like a professional, publicly traded company. Those acts last week were an embarrassment and they're unacceptable. So we hope that we'll get answers. And we hope that Erik coming on board is the start of great things to come for this company. I hope that you all took the time to watch this. And for those of you that weren't in the space calls, I hope this gave you some light onto what we discussed. Everybody in this community matters, no matter how big or small your position in BBIG is. And management deserves to hear from all of us. So please, if you're ever on any of my calls, don't hesitate to speak up. I'm happy to relay the messages. And I really hope, Erik, if you're watching this, that you'll share it and encourage Ted and Lisa and the rest of the board to watch it. Because this is what the true thoughts of your shareholders are. And the shareholders in BBIG, despite whatever alleged naked shorting is happening, we are the primary people that own this company as far as the shareholders go. So it's important that we get answers. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Take care.